That small businesses were really missing out on growing their business to their fullest potential.
We are in this arms race currently to build the biggest model of them all.
That just leads me with more questions rather than like a good understanding. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Swift Start Go, the only show where you get to see me interview my favorite people in AI from all around the world. And today I have two very special guests for you who are the founders of PrioriWise. First, we have Urvashi. Urvashi is an accomplished program manager and customer success leader with over 20 years of experience at companies such as Broadcom, VMware, Content Square, Heap, Infor, Epiphany, and CGI, American Management Systems, driving digital transformation across industries like healthcare, financial services, and education. She holds an MBA from Babson College and a systems design engineering degree from the University of Waterloo. Outside of work, Urvashi enjoys mentoring students, advocating arts, and spending time with her two boys who are adorable. I can reassure you of that. Our other guest today is Shrikant. Shrikant is on a mission to democratize entrepreneurship by blending cutting-edge AI with battle-tested business strategies to help small businesses compete and scale sustainably. Being a founding member of Amazon's machine learning team for hardware design and testing at Lab 126, where he pioneered machine learning applications, and their quantum solutions lab at AWS, where he guided customers from scrappy startups to Fortune 500 companies into the quantum computing frontier. So legit. I mean, both of you guys are legit, but oh my God. Shrikant also holds a PhD specializing in data science and a master's in mathematics from UC Berkeley, as well as a bachelor's in mechanical engineering from IIT Bombay. When he's not leveling the playing field for entrepreneurs, you'll find him exploring the great outdoors with his golden retriever, proving that even rocket scientists need their hiking boots. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys.
Thank
So
you.
let's start with PrioriWise. What is the core idea behind your product, and how has that evolved from the MVP? I remember when you guys were first getting started, and there's been a few changes, hasn't there?
Definitely a few changes. So we started off by looking at a product that was at the intersection of financial sustainability and financial wellness and environmental wellness. The key thing that kind of got us to this point is really having those customer discovery calls. And we pivoted, and based on what we were hearing from our customers, we are now in the space of helping small businesses prioritize their business outcomes and aligning them to their daily activities using AI. And, one thing we realized as we started to do this research into small businesses, we knew we wanted to do something in B2B, was that small businesses were really missing out on growing their business to their fullest potential because they were continuing to work without the proper data in place to help them really make those better business decisions. Whether it was with business outcomes or, key performance indicators, statistics show this too. Small businesses just don't have the resources to track them the way larger enterprises do. And, the statistics show for themselves. Studies continuously show that small businesses are lacking metrics to get the insights they need for profitability, operational efficiency, customer acquisition. In fact, according to McKinsey Global Institute, data-driven organizations are almost 20 times more likely to become more profitable. And right now, many small businesses are just not, able to do that. And so we want to change that very mindfully by lowering the barriers for small businesses to be more data-driven. Hence our solution and where it's at now.
There's so many great points there. And what was that number you said from McKinsey?
19 times. They're almost 20 times more likely. So 19 times, exact number is 19 times more likely to be more profitable if they use data to drive their business decisions.
That's wild. And also rings really true to me personally. I know when I was working in grocery delivery at Mercado, we were working pretty much exclusively with small grocery stores, independent small businesses. And a lot of them had never, done any sort of data tracking, and working with us was the first time that they were able to see, where their customers were finding them online, or identifying, what marketing was working best, other than whenever somebody like verbally informed them.
100%. I mean, they don't know what they don't know, and they're already so overwhelmed. So, folks like you coming in and helping is just really so much needed.
Can you tell me, how do your tools help your businesses with their decision making? Like, what do they do? How does it work? All that jazz.
I can take this one. I love this question, and I can go on and on about this, but in the interest of time, I'll try to keep my answer short. So, as Urvashi mentioned, we did this customer discovery interview process, and we chatted with a whole bunch of small business owners to really get a feel for what they need and what are their pain points. Like, what is it that's holding them back from achieving their full potential? And this was complementing our own experiences, both Urvashi's and mine, working with small startups to enterprise companies when we were doing consulting in our previous careers, and all came down to basically the fact that they're generating all this data in their business, but they're unable to use that data effectively to make good business decisions. So based on what we learned from them and their pain points, we created our platform PrioriWise, where it's all about making life easier for the small business folks by helping them figure out which activities are super important and will really move the needle for their business. We got this really neat system that actually measures how much each activity can impact their goals, and we have thrown an AI assistant in the mix, which the smart buddy basically gives personalized advice based on what the business is all about, making sure everything runs smoothly without unnecessary switching around and stress and all that. So it's basically like having a business coach right there in the platform, keeping everything on track and making sure the team is focused and not overwhelmed with a million things to do, most of which may not be having a real impact. We thought this was pretty cool and realized our customers did too. So in summary, we help small businesses with their decision making by automating how to prioritize business activities using AI.
One thing I really want to talk to you two about today is, how has building your startup changed what it means to build a startup or a small business, especially for a lot of these small business owners who maybe haven't had access to these kinds of tools before?
Definitely, building startups has really changed a lot from what we thought initially. It used to be, and this is the mindset we came with originally when we first met over a year ago, it was about building your product first, showing it off with a demo, and then sort of like crossing your fingers, hoping someone would buy it. This approach, led to a lot of time and money wasted that no one really wanted. Who wants to do that, right? We want to be as efficient as possible. So one of our favorite books, actually, Ash Maurya's Running Lean, we read that and it really flipped this idea on its head. And we start by showing potential customers a demo or a concept first, kind of like a sneak peek. If they bite, then we'll go sort of full steam by building out a product, MVP, of course. This way, we're not just guessing what people want, we're actually responding to real interest and feedback. And, with AI, this just takes the entire customer discovery and build to a whole new level. So, this sort of shift from build, demo, sell to now demo, sell, and then build has really been a game changer. It's all about getting to know what your customer really wants and then starting from there. And, the other key point is that today, with all these tools that we have for gathering feedback quickly, this customer discovery approach has helped us be super responsive and super agile. We can tweak our product based on what real users are telling us, which means less waste and better chance to really hitting the mark on what customers want.
If I may add to that, I think being in 2025, where we have Gen AI available everywhere, we're actually able to use AI very effectively. We are an AI first company, and we always look for ways to apply AI. And we use this in this process as well when we were doing our initial research as to, what are the common pain points, trying to sketch out the initial customer persona. AI really, really helped accelerate that process so that we could have a good starting initial hypothesis, and then we refined it after talking to customers. So AI, being in 2025 and using AI also really helped accelerate this process quite a lot for us.
That's what I've been finding too is, when I've built startups in the past, it's taken me months to years to figure out a lot of these different types of steps. And I just like coming up with business ideas and not doing anything with them. But I keep brainstorming random business ideas with ChatGPT and like getting to a very similar point in a few hours that used to take me weeks or months. And it's really groundbreaking, but for some reason, it's also making me not want to build any of them. So I don't know what's quite up with that.
Well, you're not the only one there, because research has also, there's a research paper that came out recently that showed that AI is so good at like taking your initial idea and building business plans that the business plans generated by AI was actually rated better than the ones generated by humans, by experts. And a lot of times the humans were not able to tell whether this business plan was created by AI or by humans. So AI is really getting to a point where you can actually start coming up with really good hypotheses and business plans with just AI and your initial ideas.
So true. And Urvashi, I just have another question for you. You mentioned a book with like a different framework. What was that book called again? I just want to make sure people hear it in case they want to.
Yeah, Ash Maurya's Running Lean. It's been amazing. Shrikant and I actually mentored a class last summer at Harvard Business School, and the Professor Mike Grandinetti, recommended this book, and we read it, and we were just like, oh my gosh. Like, we kept reading it over and over again and really honed in on the framework and the process that they use.
I'm going to have to read it and include a link down in the description or summary below in case anybody wants to find it.
Absolutely.
We were just saying how AI is changing businesses. I want to know, what are some of the smartest ways you've used free AI tools to help build and operate your startup without breaking the bank? I know there's so many tools out there that I'm always trying to figure out how to not pay for things. I know a lot of other people who are building small businesses may be in the same boat. Do you guys have any advice for that?
100%. Yes, I can definitely take that. I have two perspectives on this. So we've been bootstrapped right from the start, right? And of course, starting a startup on a shoestring budget means we had to be super creative. So using free AI tools has honestly been our first approach. And this is something that is so amazing in the AI landscape today. Tools are easier and faster to build. Hence, users can now test out really great products, and it's become much more accessible to bootstrap startups like ours, right? And we definitely took advantage of this. We used free versions of everything you can imagine initially and didn't commit to anything until we were absolutely sure we would benefit from it. So we did, the cost benefit analysis. Could we use something on our own, even like Google Sheets? We were using Google Sheets for the longest time, actually, for our finances, even to build out our initial product. So we really didn't dive into like dev tools or, financial applications until much later, as an example. But the one thing I do want to call out is that we were extremely mindful, and Shrikant and I talk about this a lot, about not falling into this tools trap, right? A lot of startups can easily get into this. A lot of enterprises can get into this too. Keeping up and testing out all the tools that are out there for a startup can itself be a full-time job these days. There is just so much out there. And for us, we continue to be very careful about this. If a tool isn't going to majorly boost our efficiency or bottom line, honestly, we skip it. This is just us being lean and focused, using on what is going to move the needle for us. Using our product tool, of course, we make some of those key decisions, and keeping that on our radar, not falling into these tool traps, just keeps us lean and focused. And then just, making sure we're using tech to boost our capabilities rather than complicate them.
Okay. So you talked about trying to use every single free tool you could to like its fullest extent before committing and really diving into having to pay for something, right? I'm curious if there have been moments for you guys where staying lean, keeping that low budget has created any real tension or trade-offs. And I'm curious, how did you navigate that? I know that's something that I've personally struggled with, but also with these newer tools and having not built a startup very recently, I'm curious what you guys have noticed.
Yeah, that is a great question. All startups are dealing with this. I mean, all companies are dealing with this right now, right? 100%, right? Staying lean definitely comes with its share of tensions and trade-offs, particularly when you're trying to balance time and money. Both very, very important things to consider in a startup. One clear example of this is sort of this decision-making process around expanding our team, right? We've had opportunities to bring on more people, but that means more hands on deck, which translates into more time being spent on managing the team and coordinating with the team. So we had to be very careful when considering whether the time spent managing additional resources would actually detract us from sort of our core activities. I'll give you a really real example. Right, we contemplated outsourcing a lot of our development work to a dev shop. Initially, it seemed like a really straightforward way to accelerate our product development. We want to get our MVP out as soon as possible, like within the next month. So yes, so we did our research. We reached out to a few dev shops, and we didn't want to increase permanently our own headcount, and that was one of the reasons. However, we realized that managing the outsourcing process and ensuring that there was alignment with our vision, not to mention the costs associated with that, could potentially end up consuming as much time, if not more, as doing the development in-house. Fortunately, we were with Shrikant being the tech and AI expert in-house, we were able to sort of look at both of those options. And so what we decided to do is just bring in a couple of key hires who were fully engaged with our mission and could really hit the ground running, minimizing that management overload. What it comes down to really is navigating these trade-offs it's always been about prioritization. We constantly ask ourselves, is this essential to our mission? Can this significantly impact our growth? Is time working against us? In most cases it is, but, and if the answer is yes, then we find a way to allocate resources, whether that's time or money effectively. It's a continuous balancing act. It's more of an art than anything else. But staying focused on priorities really helps us make these decisions and help keep us lean.
Very, very cool. And I've had similar experiences with. I remember when I was trying to build HomeSurf and I was debating whether or not to work with a dev shop, and I had a few advisors say that dev shops tend to be useful when you already have an MVP that you're looking to scale or build bigger when you have a little bit more funding, if you need to move really fast because you have a ton of traction. But that if you're in the early stages and you're still we think we're building this, but maybe we're going to change everything, that it doesn't necessarily make sense to spend all of that time and money on dev shops. So
great point. That is a great point, because you're right. At the beginning, you don't know necessarily what your MVP is going to end up looking like. So if you're giving a dev shop, pages and pages of requirements, that ends up changing. Then you're talking about, a change management plan, and, they have to allocate more or less resources with those changes. Again, it just becomes sort of a management nightmare. That is a great approach. Your advisor was spot on.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. I'm glad I got good people.
Yeah, and also one more thing I'd like to just mention here is, again, with the advent of AI, it's becoming possible. There are a lot of experts that believe that it is now possible to build even multi-million-dollar businesses with, 10 people or so, because you can outsource a lot of the things that you're doing to AI, and AI is getting better and better every single day, every single week and month, and so you can actually do a lot of these things that initially before you had to hire people. Now you can have AI do them for you, and as Urvashi mentioned, minimize the management overhead and all those, and run a very lean and efficient company, but that still generates a lot of revenue.
Absolutely. And actually, Shrikant, I'm going to ask you a surprise question because
Okay.
that made me think of something, which is I'm curious. So now we are able to build startups in the AI space with much smaller teams and using AI to do a lot of coding. And as a machine learning engineer, I got to get your take. How do you feel about vibe coding, man? Like that's all everybody wants to talk about these days. And I'm curious what your thought is on that.
Yeah, that's a really great question. Thanks for asking. So vibe coding is a really interesting phenomenon and something which, in hindsight, to some extent seems like it was a natural evolution of where the coding tools were taking us with AI. The way I see it is really democratizes, coding and app building to a large bunch of people now. You no longer need a very specialized technical education like you used to in the past. No longer, need to go take computer science classes, learn data structures, algorithms, but have AI generated code for you that will do not 100% of what you want and build like a fully functioning prototype just exactly the way you envision, but get you most of the way there. And then if you provide that in the hands of a seasoned developer or a dev shop, as Rush was mentioning before, they can actually complete the missing pieces and make it work. So that really accelerates the process of going from ideation to actual product that you can have users use and test out very fast, and now almost anyone can do it. So one thing that has happened is like a lot of times I get a lot of requests from other founders are looking for technical co-founders, and they ask me like, what should I do to get a technical co-founder? And I said, well, you first need to really assess if what is the real requirement for a tech co-founder. Like maybe try vibe coding yourself, see if you can build something real quick and dirty, and then hand it off to someone to polish it, and that may get you there. So it really is a fantastic new development that democratizes this technical domain to a lot more non-technical folk.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this podcast is primarily directed towards, entrepreneurs, but also creatives who maybe have never used AI tools before, but are curious about it and whatever. And I got to say, for any of my artist designer friends out there, please try vibe coding. It is much easier than you think. And honestly, I think I haven't played around with it enough, but I do think it's very fun. And I think it's the type of thing where somebody who has a non-technical background but has been really interested in building this space should really explore.
Definitely. There's so many boot camps and stuff these days that you can go to that will take you from idea to like a fully functioning product in like days or a week or something, And so, yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. It'll really supercharges your capabilities.
Yeah. So speaking of a fully functioning vibe coded product, I'm curious, how do you decide what is good enough to launch versus what needs to wait until you're better resourced? We've now talked about this a little bit, but like when is something good enough where you are like feel confident that you're ready to go, even if it's not perfectly perfect? Like how do you guys define that line?
For us, the answer has always been heavily influenced by our customers. We're big believers, as I've mentioned many times already, in this lean startup methodology, right? Which emphasize on the importance of getting this MVP into the hands of users as quickly as possible, and then iterating based on their feedback. From the onset, we focused on building just enough to start gathering evidence of value that we've created for the users. And to this day, we continue to launch a feature based on customer feedback, not what we think would work for them, and closely monitor how customers interact with it. As an example, all our customers get onboarded into our online community, right? It's a Slack channel. We have different channels in there for feedback, for video tips and tricks. And, we're paying really close watch on that to make sure that people are actually using what we're providing, not only using our app, but how are they actually giving us feedback. We want it to be as easy as possible. Are they looking at our onboarding videos? How often are they looking at it? What is some of the feedback that they're providing to us? So at the end of the day, their reactions, their feedback, and usage really dictates our next steps. If something resonates well and we see genuine engagement, we know we're on the right track, and that could justify allocating more resources to enhance it. Conversely, if the feedback was lukewarm or just pointed to different needs, then we'll pivot and we'll refine our approach without having sunk too much time and money into a less effective path. So again, thinking about it with the right framework really has helped us easily navigate between what's good enough versus what's ready to launch. Being as close as possible to our customers is the key.
I'm curious, how do you guys think about competition from tech giants in the AI space? And maybe do you have any advice for other founders who are maybe encountering something like that?
Yeah, this is a fear that we all have, right? All startups are facing this competition from tech giants. They've got the budget, they've got the resources to bring this like really big AI solutions in front of their customers. We have the same fear, but it really boils down to honing in on what makes your startup unique and impactful. So at PrioriWise, we focused on building a platform for small businesses specifically to be more data-driven, knowing that small businesses don't currently have an easy way to do this. Something that big players often overlook, and quite honestly, they probably don't even want to spend the time, with that target segment. That's really what we've been honing in on, is really what's going to be a unique value proposition, testing it out and running with it. And I would recommend make it as small as possible. Don't go try to boil the ocean. Look for as niche a target segment as you can, because chances are the tech giants aren't looking at all those niche targets. They are building something that is a generic problem. So my advice to other founders would be to keep it simple, focus on a unique problem, not a million problems. That would be a big enough, and this is really key, a big enough switching trigger for users to use your solution. That switching trigger is really key. What's going to make users switch from what they're using now to your product? Because there's a lot of pain points out there, and a lot of users end up just dealing with it and using it. It's good enough. But what is that problem that will be like, okay, this is painful enough that I'm willing to switch to your other solution, to this other solution? And we find that this approach will really help carve out, as founders, your own space and resonate with your target audience.
Yeah, and I'll just quickly add that, what Urvashi said about focusing on this unique problem. We have this mantra. We even have a selfie on our website with this in the background saying, think big, but start small. So it's good to have grand visions, but you always want to start with a very focused problem, a small problem that you can solve really well.
And that actually maybe leads me perfectly to my next question. Think big, start small. One of the big things that people think about in the AI space is energy usage and how much energy AI does take up, and what are ways that people can reduce the amount of energy that's needed in order to build these types of products. Now, Shrikant, if I'm not mistaken, this is one of your favorite things to talk about.
Yes.
I know you're really passionate about this intersection of AI and energy. And as the climate impact of AI becomes more visible, do you see an opportunity for startups like yours to lead with better practices? What are you guys doing to try to tackle things like this?
A fantastic question. And yes, I'm very, very passionate about AI and energy. So my observation is that although there's increasing awareness of the climate impact of AI and other technologies, most of us still don't fully appreciate its full magnitude. For example, not many people know that when you do an AI search, it consumes an order of magnitude more energy. And if you look at carbon consumption or carbon emissions, it's 2 orders of magnitude more than traditional web searches. So think about that, right? I mean, like every single time you're firing up, any AI search, you're like just consuming way more energy and causing a much bigger impact. But these costs are hidden, and because of that, most of us don't really think twice about firing up an AI search engine for basically any query that comes to mind, like what we used to do in Google before. Now we just like open up an AI chat agent to do that. So what ends up happening, and when you do this, what ends up happening is you often don't get exactly the answer you're looking for. So then you do, you tweak your question, or tweak your prompt and try again. Or the AI search engine tells you, hey, follow, you can try asking this question. So you do another search and then another search. But in either case, what ends up happening is you end up doing way more searches than optimal. Now, of course, with the correct prompt, it is possible to get the result you're looking for in the first go itself. But we can't expect everyone to be prompt engineers, right? So this is a problem. And in addition, now I will say that the energy consumption of AI models is getting lower with newer and more efficient models, but there's still a significant gap that remains between power consumption of AI-powered services versus traditional ones that don't use AI. And of course, we are not even talking, this doesn't even account for the training costs of these AI models, which are gigantic, right? There was a report that came out some time ago that basically said something to the effect that training the GPT-3 model produced an amount of emissions similar to that produced if you drove a car from here to the moon and back. Yeah.
What is something more on this earth? What's a number? Is there a number that you can share? If you don't have it, that's okay. But is there a number you can share that makes that a little bit more real? Like, is that 100 planes, or is that the cost of energy consumption by the military? I don't know. Like, when I hear a car going to the moon and back, I'm like, well, are we accounting for like bonus fuel that's needed in order to actually get you into orbit? Or is it, that just leads me with more questions rather than like a good understanding. Do you know? If you don't know, that's okay.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I mean, it's a big amount. Like, there's a lot of carbon emissions. That's basically what the point is. It did consume a lot of energy and produce a lot of carbon emissions. Orders of magnitude more than what you would, if you're training a simpler model, machine learning model, which I've been doing a lot of. And unfortunately, we are in this arms race currently to build the biggest model of them all. Like one tech company comes up with one, another one says, "Oh, I have something better," and then third one comes up and says, "I have something better." So this kind of like climate impact is just, it doesn't seem like it's going away anytime soon, unfortunately. Now, one solution to this problem is to provide better context to the AI assistant that you're using, right? And this is what we're doing in our platform, PrioriWise. So our AI assistant, Gija, who's named after she has the context of your business information, which allows her to provide you with more tailored responses that are more likely to be what you're looking for, and reducing the likelihood of you having to re-query her over and over again. But in general, I believe that startups are like ours are only just starting to scratch the surface of how we can lead with better practices to address the climate impact of AI. And there's definitely a vast scope, especially with the newer, more efficient models.
It's been so fun to see your guys' journey. I mean, we met, a couple months ago, 6 months ago, something like that. And I remember when you guys were just getting started. But I'm curious, what's up next for you guys? Do you have anything like really exciting coming up that people should know about or keep an eye out for? Like, what's next for PrioriWise, guys?
Yeah, so we have a lot of exciting things coming up. First and foremost, we have a very exciting product roadmap. We're bringing out a lot of features around integration. We're getting very involved in the community, right? We just finished doing a AI pitch showcase at Babson College. And we were just actually selected. So we are a woman-owned business, and we're very proud of that. We are also very much aware around sustainability, as Shrikant mentioned. We just got selected to be an exhibitor at the AI-powered Women's Conference that is taking place at MIT. It happens twice a year. Yes, we're excited. It's happening September 6th and 7th. Please attend, audience, if you can. It's going to be really transformational event. It's an AI conference for women leaders. And so there's going to be an amazing set of women speakers who are really AI change makers, as well as some amazing women founders who will be exhibiting their product in the AI lab. And we can't wait to be a part of that as well.
That is so Cool. I love that. Listen, Babson and MIT approved. Amazing. All right, guys, I have one last question for you before we've got to run. So, this question is another AI related question. I'm curious if there is a tool or a hack that you swear by, ideally an AI tool, saved you countless hours or dollars as founders. Is there anything like that you guys think we should be checking out?
Yeah, I mean, I can take that one. There are so many great tools, AI tools and non-AI tools out there that are so useful, as Urvashi mentioned before. But there's one in particular that stands head and shoulders above the rest for us. I'll let you guess, Carolyn. I'll give you one chance. What do you think that tool is? What do you think it would be for us?
Let me see. A tool that has helped a small business get started. Maybe it has something to do with an AI assistant named after a golden retriever.
Exactly right. Yeah. Yes, I'm trying not to be biased, but I have to say, like, of all the tools that we have used, I have to pick our AI assistant, Gija, that's named after my golden retriever, because she's been a total game changer for us as founders. Really, like, given what she knows about our business and the context she has about it, it's just amazing how much we're able to get done using Gija in our own platform to run our business. We actually use our own platform to run our startup. And so Gija gets all the inside scoop of what we're up to because of that. And she's able to give us way better tailored advice than any standard AI chat tool out there, that we have tried out. So for example, we needed a killer pitch for this AI event that we are about to present to. And Urvashi, whipped Gija up and asked her, to produce something along the lines of what was expected. And Gija whipped up something so awesome in seconds that it just totally wowed everyone there. And they thought like we had, been practicing this and prepared this for so long, but it was like literally on the spot, like within a matter of minutes. And, like she's always on top of recommending free tools and solutions that fit almost exactly what we need every time. So it helps us dodge those pesky unnecessary subscriptions, and escape the tool trap that Urvashi was talking about before. So it's like, Gija is like having a super smart, money savvy guru, right at our fingertips at all times. So that would have to be our favorite one.
It's awesome. Yeah, and we're making Gija even smarter, right? Our product roadmap looks so exciting. We want to bring in more integrations. One of the things we've talked about is really understanding our customers' tech stack and, having Gija sort of bring that into her knowledge base so that, she can make better recommendations when it comes to not just providing advice on next steps, but taking into account the tools that are in the customer's domain that they can take advantage of as well.
So really goes to show how sometimes having a smaller model that's more focused, that has the best possible data for your industry or for what you're using it for, can make that much more of a difference or better outcomes than some of these gargantuan models that have so much data that they don't always know where to pull from.
100%. Yes. And if I can share one quote that I just love, and we end a lot of our customer calls with that, and even internally we share it. It's such a simple quote, but it's a quote by a very well known leader and pioneer in management consulting. His name's Peter Drucker. You can look him up, but his quote is so profound. What gets measured gets improved, right? So simple. And if we can and I think a lot of small businesses are really starting to resonate with that. Yes, I need to start measuring what I'm doing, but how can I do that without, it taking up, all my time in my business? I want to be able to do that very quickly. And we have a solution for that.
I love it so much. So we got to get wrapping up. Want to follow you guys online, or if they want to learn more about PrioriWise and Gija, like where should they go? How do they find you?
Yeah, so they can go right to our website, PrioriWise.ai. We are also on LinkedIn. We're very active on LinkedIn. You can find our company page, PrioriWise, on LinkedIn. We have on our website, you can see all our other social media accounts. And of course, please follow ourselves, Urvashi Batra and Shrikant Srisagar on LinkedIn as well. We'd love to have a call with anyone at any time, just to have a conversation, right? If they want to know more about it, they may not be ready to dive into something like this right now, but maybe it's just something that they want to understand more of. The other thing that we do is we're really focused on being data driven, right? And that includes any of the blogs that we share. So we're really focused on summarizing existing research papers in a very cohesive way that really focuses on the impact that data-driven organizations can have on their business. So please look out for.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both so much for joining me today. And thank you, everybody, for watching. If you liked this episode, please make sure to like and subscribe either here on YouTube if you're watching or wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. Every week or so, it's been a bit inconsistent recently, but that's going to get better. We invite new experts to come onto our show and talk about what they're building in the AI space or what their opinions are when it comes to the future of the AI and tech world. And I'm your host, Carolyn Swift Holden. You can find me on LinkedIn or on all of these different platforms, whether it is YouTube or Substack. This is Swift Start Go. Thank you so much, everybody, and we hope you're having a fantastic day. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
This show has been brought to you by Cirrus North. Does your organization need a better partner for cloud, DevOps, security, and compliance? Cirrus North is a team of software professionals with a passion for cloud solutions, DevOps, automation, Kubernetes, and streamlining complex business problems. They are 100% US-based in Minnesota and Chicago, have deep experience supporting mission-critical technology operations in highly regulated environments, and have delivered success for startups and for companies on the Fortune 5. Interested? Reach out to the team at cirrusnorth.io. That's cirrusnorth.io. Thanks, Cirrus North.